blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry one artist at a time.
Hello and good morning and welcome to Courtney. I'm Courtney West. I'm a full spectrum doula, doula educator, doula mentor, all the things about the things. And I'm here on According to Courtney. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. On this channel, we talk about everything from mental health, filling our cup, Black maternal health, and everything in between. Today, I want to just sit and have some space with you guys. I've missed you guys. We were supposed to shoot last week, and then the world in here in Florida just changed over. No Wi-Fi, no cellular, no nothing. And I just thought it was crazy because, of course, we were talking about, what is self-healing really? And I felt like it was interesting to have that disconnect because it just kind of gave time to everyone got to heal. So today, we're coming back into it, and I'm super excited to have our next guest. This person is near and dear to my heart, and we're going to be sitting here and going through talking about what the self-help healing journey is. So let's bring Miss Midwife Audrey into the space.
Hi, Grand Rising, everybody.
Grand Rising. So great to have you in this space, and welcome to According to Courtney. So, Audrey, I love to open up the show with the same 3 questions for every guest. First is, what is your name, the origin of your name? 2, where are you from and your people are from? And then 3, what information you would like to share in the space today?
Super excited. Thank you for having me, first of all, Courtney. Many blessings. So my full name is Audrey Lucy Luck, and there's a little story behind that. I'll make it quick. But my first name, Audrey, stands for of noble strength. And I believe that is like an old English background. And some resources I've seen like maybe connected to French. And Lucy stands for bright one or one of light. Luck, my last name, it's traditional, like Luck, like good luck. However, it's Americanized. So my parents are from Haiti, and they immigrated here to America, and I'm first generation, Haitian American. So with that being said, they understood that on paper, if you looked exceptional, that would help you have a lead in the world we live in today, right? Having the skin color we have. So it used to be Luc, Luc, which also means light. So if you think about Lucifer, the angel of light, Luce in French literally means light. And so, when I think somewhere around the age of 5 or so, my dad Americanized all of our names because at this point my siblings had been born, and he wanted their last names, now that he put a K on theirs, to match with all of ours. So I am formally known as Audrey Lucy Luck, which means noble strength or strong one, light one of light. So with having the cultural background of people from Haiti, that is one that is of me and of who I am in my blood. And I'm hoping that today in this conversation, not only can I share my light, but I can share tangible information that people are able to then understand or understand rather, that
Mhm.
has an impact or transformation on their life positively.
That is so beautiful. I'm so excited. So, like I stated out, like I was super excited to have midwife Audrey because you have to understand in our community in Tampa Bay area where we were both working at one point in time, there was not many spaces that you would see people that look like us, especially in
Mhm,
midwifery. So when I
mhm,
learned about midwifery here, I didn't know any home birth black midwives except for midwife Audrey. There was
mhm,
no. There wasn't anyone. There was Zul who had been on my show before, but she was a student at the time. So there was no one in the area that looked like me. And so I knew of her and I would see her in journals and different things. Everyone was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then I got to walk in and I did a birth and she was there. And it was one of those moments where you are being professional, but you want to geek out because it's one of the first moments I'm like in space with someone who looked like me and to see and to feel the synchronicity of work and what that felt like to be like, I can't
mhm,
believe I'm working with a midwife who looks like me. Oh my goodness, listen to how she talks. Oh my God. But still kind of keep it like, I'm with my client. Breathe,
uh-huh,
breathe. But
uh-huh,
really telling myself, breathe, Courtney, breathe. Keep it cute right now. And which is what the honor that is and how healing, as on the subject of healing, that was for me to be in
mhm,
space because I've been in space with grand midwives and other midwives and taught, but to see and to be part of the work was such a healing space and something to share with you is how I knew I was doing right on my journey. I was like, I want to be in her space
mhm,
one day. I want to be in a space that I'm doing this and you're teaching me how to go through this. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep going. So I
mm.
wanted to share that fangirl moment with you where working with you in that part in the completion of I'm doing the right thing. This is the right.
Mm.
This is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And because it's so important to be seeing someone that just you can put a mirror up and be like,
There it
okay,
is.
there it is.
Uh-huh.
And like I remember after the birth was over, I'd like ask you 50 million questions, like, oh my God, okay, so do you do this and this and this and this and this? And I felt like a kid. And I'm just like, wait, I'm supposed to still be professional right now, but I'm like, let's do it. So it was fun. It was very fun.
Like well, when you're a birth nerd, it's just a vibe of its own, right?
Mhm.
And birth is one of those things where it's either for you or it's not.
Correct.
Truth be told. But every single human being comes from a womb, so to some degrees, we are all connected in that.
Mhm.
And I totally resonate with what you're saying. To be seen, meaning like now it's almost like, oh, I am doing this, or I am fully in my embodied capacity, as opposed to in the thought process of let me make sure that uh, we're not trying to rock the boat or create too many issues or waves or whatever, even if that's a subtext in the conversation with which anybody who's got something that's not the status quo knows what it is to kind of live in within the like, well, there are going to be certain slices or aspects of myself that I won't truly be in
Mhm.
order to like be safe. But despite all of that, when two of us were sharing that space, it was one where it felt very harmonious and very grounded. And I feel that we're able to then better serve clients when we're in that space because
Mhm.
they really rest and relax on that energy too. And so through that whole birth experience, even though, there was a postpartum transfer for that one, to see and have the feedback that they felt confident through the process because of the education they received, which let them know what to expect, what was happening, how it was happening, like, there's a self validation that happens there where, in some degrees, when you go out your front door, you're kind of going out to battle on the front line. And
Mm-hmm.
so, when there's acknowledgement of the how effective or how appreciative your work is, then it kind of like makes the history or the even the present still voices that say midwifery is outdated, or the idea that midwives don't have a place, or aren't as impactful as we truthfully are. Those type of things really then negate that I guess you can say that voice that's happening.
Absolutely.
Because really many of the clients that we serve, their feedback is always, oh, thank goodness there's this, because you know our medical industrial complex is not one that truly serves and facilitates and empowers
Mm-hmm.
the person who is doing the birthing, especially in a way that is that feels good for them and is also effective. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I felt like in that moment, having births with you and how important it is to have Black midwives and Black birth workers, and then being my history and background is being from the South and being in Florida where midwives birth cities. They birth whole communities here. And to be in those spaces and being able to touch into that, it's like we're continuing work that's been done and how healing that is to have that emotional connection and to be able to be seen and to be heard. And you made a statement about being on the battle lines. I feel like as birth workers, as human beings, especially as Black women, we're always constantly on the battle line, on the go. You're not expected to feel. Anytime when you are feeling, you're too aggressive or you're too emotional or you're too anything, but not continuously be thought of like I'm constantly on the battle lines from the time I leave out my door, and sometimes even in behind closed doors. It never stops. And then we get
That's what I was talking about with the like picking and choosing what aspects of self that can actually truly be and whatnot because of all of those things that's being
Mhm.
navigated. Hmm.
With that, it's like, you hear like these trigger words. Everyone's on these journeys of healing. Okay. And that sounds great. And so you see some people with health books and this and that and the other. But with that journey of healing, it's like, what does that like really mean? And then also, what does that look like for Black women? Because I look at what other people like, I'm gonna go take these cruises and I'm gonna go do this and I'm gonna sit with my mantras and I'm gonna do this. I'm like, I work 4 12-hour shifts plus do birth work. When I got time to do all of this stuff? When y'all doing this? And then when I do my journey of healing, this stuff hurts. Ain't nobody talking about
Hmm.
that. Why?
Mm.
What is the formula that y'all sipping on? Because I ain't sipping on the same formula. So,
Ooh, I think that formula, to some degree, until we know better, we can't really do better. Not
mhm.
to say that there's any level of judgment saying, like, oh, this is how this self care is good, this self care is bad. It really has none of that. But first, we have to get down to to the core of like defining the I guess you can say the words so that we can then truly understand what we're trying to do here, right? So let's break
Absolutely.
down the word self-care.
Okay.
Let's start off with just care in general, right? When you care for a newborn and you nurture it, you want it to thrive and do well, you're caring for it. That's because you love it, right?
Mhm.
You love it unconditionally, whatever that thing needs. So unconditional love, you can kind of equate to the word care. And then when you think of the word self, that's all of yourself, not little aspects of yourself that we do and don't like. Sometimes in self care, it's easy to bypass and really focus on like the feel good things, but it really doesn't actually serve our spirit or heal our bodies or help nourish our minds. And so, sometimes it is the, harder stuff where we have to be disciplined, and it's like, no, I know you don't like this, but you need this, or whatever the case is, because we understand that we want to be well. And so what does it even mean to be well? Well, to be well in my mind is to be whole, to have every aspect of self function, the way that it's intended to. So self-care is then the process by which we become whole again. And I know that in this current day and age, part of what makes us sick, and literally the actions that feed into the social determinants of health for especially Black women, are the patterns and practices, mind, body, and spirit, that we've either learned or that we've been socialized to embody and do, and then somehow think that there's a payoff for it. So until we sit down with ourselves personally to review what it is that we value, what it is that our self, mind, body, and spirit needs, and then how can we unconditionally give it the care that it needs so that we can thrive into a holistic being that is whole, then that's a different kind of conversation. Maybe it's not Mai Tais and taking a cruise, and maybe so really breaking that down. And frankly, I didn't really even understand that was what that was until I took a break from midwifery practice. I know that sounds crazy, right? But is healthcare providers, part of the indoctrination just in the whole, through your education, and just as a societal expectation that you just know what's up with wellness, and thereby teach other people that, which is by and large truly. I know a lot of stuff about the body. I know when someone is anemic. I know when someone's a threat for maybe preeclampsia, this all these things, right? But do we know how to truly heal and get to the fundamentals of wellness? And that component is more seated in something that we're not taught in textbooks, and that is really rooted in our ancestors. And so some people who still have strong connections to ancestors, when we look at indigenous people or certain cultures that don't have a heavy Western influence, we can actually see that they already have these practices as a part of way of life, in terms of how they are with grounding with the earth and just taking their shoes off, or they don't even wear shoes, right? Just certain aspects where our body and our mind and our spirit is in balance with the environment we live in. And so now we have evidence to show us that mindfulness practices of grounding yourself to where you are, breath work, and actually connecting to your heart and to your lungs, and even as far as your environment and the chemicals and what it's raining or radiating on you, all of those things affect the potential of your wellness. And this is just how these people live. It's not even a textbook thing, right? It's just how you live. And because it's just how you live, there is a natural intrinsic flow with that, where there's not a whole lot of stress or worry about the being, because you just already are being. You just like a bird when they wake up, and then they don't worry about birding or if they're gonna get the worm today. They just follow the natural instincts that they are literally just born with, to find the signs for the things that abundantly already exist in their environment. So in this Western culture, because we have school, because we have strong values on other things that make us think that thought is better than other things, I started realizing oh my gosh, that's part of the box. That's part of the mindset or the framework of seeing the world. And that's where I started realizing I needed to literally unlearn and even relearn what it means to be well, not from a the what's the perspective I'm trying to say?
The colonizer standpoint of what wellness is how
Yeah.
I've taken that is, and I think that's really important that you're speaking on that, because it's that
Yeah.
unlearning. Because many of us, I feel like we're struggling, because you talked about certain things I want to go back to, like what is grounding and breath work. So many people don't know what these things are, because it's not what you thought of. What is wellness? We know the colonized thought of what wellness is, but have no idea what true wellness is. So it's like, for some audience members, they're like, well, what is grounding? What is breath work? What are these things that are so simple that we know, and just being? Most of us
Yeah.
don't know how to be. What is that? What does that
Yeah.
even mean?
Yeah. And that is where we have an incredible opportunity, if not an opportunity, frankly, like to make it worth it for our ancestors. I think that's our part that's required, right? Think about it. Part of the reason why this question is unknown is because we didn't necessarily have reflections or the right to practice that without having some type of, like retribution or like, percussions or something like that. And so, in many different ways, we then have learned or embodied that, to be this way or that way, which might actually be in alignment with our true selves, is to quote unquote be ungodly. I'm sure you heard that a lot in the Black community.
Absolutely.
Or to, let the devil or this, just all kinds of things. And so these are just, ways of being that we've learned to be. But in our genetics, in our actual DNA, is still the information of how to be in our wellness and totality. And I think that really stems in, visioning brighter, and understanding that our history is one that is rich and larger than the stories of slavery, which are not, just stories, but experiences. But we're so much more and bigger than that. And when we can see the totality of all of that, knowing that, we're also kings and queens and business people and all these things, like that also is alive within us and within our genetics, then we unlock more potential to become or to be. And so, I started connecting more with my body, which, I'm gonna say was a textbook girl, because I'm really stepping into a different kind of strength of wisdom, and changing the perspective that I've been taught, which is the mind is superior and is pretty much like the information base. And if you can't prove it with words or science or with the mind, then it doesn't exist. There's a lot of things, within our bodies that we feel and experience that we just don't have the words for yet, and that's okay. They don't exist. So stepping into that wellness is a combination of the mind, which is like scientific information that we've shown that actually helps slow down the central nervous system and get us out of fight or flight. That is actually part of what grounding does. When our feet touches earth itself, earth has a particular magnetic resonance. We are a frequency too. Feeling anxious is its own type of frequency vibration. So if you can think about a baby who's freaking out, who needs co-regulation, when you hold them and you soothe them, it literally helps the central nervous system, come down into regulation and allows for different hormone processes to happen to bring us back in homeostasis. So this is no different. We are Earth's baby.
Mm-hmm.
Go out and we go, get comforted by Mother Earth, which, I think because we're able to say it with words of science and math, that's
Mm-hmm.
it's legitimate, right? But when we just look at really populations that are doing well and thriving, these are practices they didn't have to be taught,
Mm.
like how they're eating, breastfeeding,
Mm-hmm.
having their babies at home, having a village in which, everyone is attuned to the center of, you know, what continues to make more people so that the families can thrive, so that communities can thrive. This is just like second knowledge, no different than the grass is green and the sky is blue. This is
Mm.
just what you got to do for things to flow right. And so that's where I've realized, like, oh my gosh, there it is. I can see my colonized perspective in I've been teaching wellness needs to be this many supplements a day. You got
Right.
this many cups of water. You got to
Right.
your body this many minutes of time, and da 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 da. And that's where it's like, oh my gosh, how first world country are we? How so disconnected from us being a part of the planet Earth than us being like as if like Earth is our thing for us to rule. I know
Yes.
for most people, like they think, well, but it is. God gave us the Earth for us to rule. We are to be with the Earth. It's a different
Mm.
kind of relationship. And when we can have proper relationship, that's where everything else is then the highway for things to flow. So first, proper relationship with self, which is self-care. And it's going to keep changing all the time because
Yes.
as we heal and things come up, maybe I need a walk in the park this
Mm-hmm.
time. Maybe I need to be by myself and I just need to color and play with my inner child, or whatever the case is. And our opportunities for healing come up when we get triggered or when we have, an upset. That is just our, soul and our bodies communicating with us that something is off or not serving us, or literally we are scared to death and in
Mm-hmm.
that fight or flight, which then means what wounds are still there and festering that need healing. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you are able to be in that open flow of self and provide self-care, just like with a baby, you don't be like, nah, I breastfed you at noon, you can't get it till 3.
Right. Right.
Mm,
Doesn't work like that.
things that thrive that well. So the more I keep on like healing and the way I know that I'm healing, right? Healing and wellness is again when I was like, let's break down the definition of like what that is. That's to be whole, to be well,
Mm-hmm.
to be whole for things to work the way that it was intended and all that thing. And when I'm literally becoming more and more well. And the measures for that, just like with the measures for a baby, is oh, they gained like 12 ounces in the past couple of days. Awesome, they're doing great. Their skin, they're this or that. There are metrics of wellness, and so same thing for us. And it's like, oh, my eczema is clearing up. Oh, my asthma and all those breathing experiences are also getting better. Oh, my periods are getting lighter. Oh, the fibroids aren't growing. It's not like oh, the weight is coming off. Oh, I've kept the weight off. Just all these
Mm-hmm.
things where you like the things that you were taught, and then you reflect on the things that actually got you the goal that you were actually shooting for is not necessarily in alignment. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where those of us who have been trained in the Western ways have to be very careful and identify what ways we're perpetuating the same,
Right.
like constructs and harm, because we don't know better. And part of knowing better is to have the experience. and the experience, since we're not like, we didn't grow up with it and see it mirrored, is then one that's got to be discovered and learned so then we can teach it. So, you know, the ways of wellness, especially from our ancestral practices, are not lost to us. There's a lot of different, you know, like things we may remember from our grandmas, or sometimes even seeing other people's grandmas or aunties and stuff like that. And birth is a rich, rich ground for many of these practices, especially when we see different teas or baths or things that are being done that have been passed down from families or heritages. Even if they don't know, oh, there's this many milligrams of vitamin C and what's happening is this kind of process and this kind of process, which is great for hemostatic, whatever. We don't have to know that. And
Right.
good. So that's why I was like, okay, I think I gotta like be a student of real wellness, not the textbook wellness.
Absolutely.
And I have, so that is part of like what I am so excited to especially bring the world, you know, with like my content and different things like that, is not only how like breaking it down for you to understand it, but for you to then be empowered to do it yourself and to, you know, be able to embody wellness on a different level that maybe, you know, not only have we personally felt, but maybe for the first time in a long time in our generational line. And that is like another level of healing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Like, you just gave me goosebumps when you said that. I was just like that generational piece of healing that I feel like that that's actually perfect midpoint section right there, because I was like, I want to get into, you know, the other piece of you, because you have on yourself mother, midwife, and real superhero, and you're about to get into your superhero, why you're a superhero, and when you hit that, but that wellness that you haven't felt in generations. I want to stop right there real quick for our midpoint, because I want to pick that back up, because I see what you're putting down, what you laying down. We're gonna pick that right back up.
Okay.
All right.
Good stuff. So the Blast Artist Spotlight is my man Elijah Rosario, and this is called Best of Me. Check it out.
Say what's on your mind, tell it like it is. Is there something in your heart wanting part in it? If that's the case, then girl, just say so. Games, I ain't tryna play those. Know you protective of your heart. Know you healing from them scars. Well, how about tonight we just put all our worries aside? Take advantage of this moment. Hold me tight, I'm talking close. I've been seeing clearly lately. Ain't no guarantee, just maybe. One thing that I'm certain of, I can't live without your touch, no. Kiss me like the first time that we met. Love me like we'll never love again. I'll save you every time before myself. Don't want nobody else. Give you the best of me. I know you ain't need a feeling, not just talking sexually. You like to dance in the mirror, you do it so gracious me. I feel like nothing else matters when you laying next to me. When you laying next to me, give you the best of me. I know you ain't need a feeling, not just talking sexually. You like to dance in the mirror, you do it so gracious me. I feel like nothing else matters when you laying next to me. I'll give you the best of me.
Don't wanna waste no time. You know a good girl's really hard to find. You've been heavy on my mind. Boy, talk is cheap, but I'll wait in line. Love the way I move to the baseline, waistline. Bad girl, not only on FaceTime. You know true love really takes time. Can't find a love if you ain't mine, no. Watch me wind it slow. Watch you lose control. Just wanna let you know this is how the thing goes. Make him spend 6 figures on the bling. African bad girl deserve the finer things. Private jets, baguettes, and diamond rings. Summertime drop top money ain't a thing like what it seemed like.
Kiss me like the first time that we met. Love me like we'll never love again. I'll I'll save you every time before myself. Don't want nobody else. Give you the best of me. I know you ain't need a feeling, not just talking sexually. You like to dance in the mirror, you do it so graciously. I feel like nothing else matters when you laying next to me. When you laying next to me, give you the best of me. I know you ain't need a feeling, not just talking sexually. You like to dance in the mirror, you do it so graciously. I feel like nothing else matters when you laying next to me. I'll give you the best of me.
And that was our guy Elijah Rosario with Best of Me. And if you are an independent artist or a spoken word poet or even up and coming comedian that is looking for some exposure, you can go to blastmusic247.com and register for free. But the wonderful thing is, Blast, we need the fans. So if you're a fan of great music, you also can go to blastmusic247.com, register as the unlimited fan, and have access to hundreds and hundreds of independent music. Blast, we are constantly changing the industry one artist at a time. All right, ladies, back to y'all.
Thank you so much. So if you guys are just joining us, welcome back to According to Courtney, and we are with amazing midwife Audrey, who has just been gracing us with wellness and what is true definitions of wellness and different ways we can touch into that. And speaking about that, I want to talk about like what you wrote down here, that you have mother, midwife, and real life superhero. Like really dive into that, because as I know you as a midwife, but as you said, you've stepped away from that. So what are you all doing? What do you really do, midwife Audrey?
Well, midwifery is always a part of me. You know, I know that when I took a break from practicing and seeing clients and doing home births and all of that, I was like, so what does that mean? Oh my gosh, what does that mean? Which again, our greatest opportunities for healing is centered in where we feel the most uncomfortable and the most anxiousness and all those things. And so there was a lot of, releasing identity that I thought that I needed to like be or have or whatever the case is in order to really step into the who I'm actually here to be, which is a mother midwife, and share my awesome gift and my light. And so because I'm uniquely me, I got superpowers. That's really, where I'm able to utilize my superpower strengths. And so today, what that looks like for me is getting to use all my gifts, which I've stepped back into music and have now started doing some singing and songwriting. And all of this is so that we can, help elevate our frequency. And when we can elevate our frequency, like our bodies, our cells, then we are actually in a different vibrational space to be able to understand or understand different information and make the transformations we then need. And the way I feel like each human being is on this planet, if we are all of like Earth's little babies, if you can imagine Earth being like one whole entity, like a human being, then all the humans is no different than a cell on a being or within a being. When you have a cell that is sick or literally, out of alignment of its purpose, right, then that's called like cancer. You know what I'm saying? So all of those things then really factor. So I started to realize like, oh my gosh, the things that feed my heart and feed my soul do matter, and that took a lot of, like learning and unlearning, because so many of the things that I understood to be right or good or valuable, which at some point absolutely served its place. But I think that is what all of us are called to do in this day and age, is it one that we should still keep doing. And by reflecting on that and truly allowing ourselves the full capacity of that self-love, which means we're not judging the self for what it wants to become and what it already is, then you start to realize that, oh, I was taught to only value, these prestigious positions as opposed to what naturally comes to me and helps me, just feel good or feel calm. And so because that pathway of coming back to self has been one that has been kind of like crazy and arduous and whatever, I feel like there needs to be more representation of like what that is and what that looks like, because sometimes this healing journey may have you out here feel crazy.
Yes.
Because in some ways what feels crazy is the fact that we're like, there are new sensations or vibrational ways of being that we don't even let ourselves embody because we've been taught that is bad or whatever the case is. So then now when we're starting to do it, it almost goes against the programming. But then it's like, who's wrong here? Who's out of alignment? Like, the whole world can't be wrong.
But it can. I feel like that's the biggest struggle a lot of Black women, I can say for myself, I'm going to talk about me. Taking care of myself, I'm very bad about that because I've been programmed in my family, and I come from a lot of nurses and a lot of healers. So everyone heals everyone else, but no one really heals the healer. And when you take time to heal yourself, I feel bad about it. Well, I should be tending to my kids, or how to check on my clients, or oh, this is not what I should be doing, and then I'll stop. Or if I'm like, okay, I'm taking this time to work out. Well, I only have so many hours a day. I should probably be sleeping. Isn't that more taking care of myself? Or, oh, someone has called me, so I need to go handle them and stop handling myself. And so I've always done that. But then I've thought about that. It's like, well, that's all I've ever seen. That's all I've ever known.
And that's literally how and why we are sick, because it throws us out of alignment of our wellness and everything being open and flowing. And so I realized, and girl, this one's gonna be a big one. All
right.
I realized that when it comes to social determinants of health for Black women, 50% of it is the learned behaviors that we've learned. Meaning, in a lot of ways, we are literally like colluding with our own, like the systems that make us sick.
Absolutely.
Because of things like, oh, wow, you did 3 births back to back and you haven't been home in like 3 days. Oh, girl, you are super. You're like, yes, I can see that that's superhuman. But also at the same time, part of how we maintain these systems of like something that zaps your wellness is by empty, I guess you can say, like sweet words that then make you feel like that's something to eat on.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to replenish the sleep. It's not going to replenish the cells getting put back together. But oh, those words were sweet. That's right there, like half a year off your life. And we just do that over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And that's because that's a learned behavior.
Absolutely.
So far deep into our DNA, we almost can't even notice it. When did that start? Because we have to ask ourselves, who does it serve? Which then helps you understand, when did it start? And so there are old embedded practices that are, Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about it as post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yes.
And we didn't even know that that's an operating system within our beingness, meaning that is a framework by which we show up in the world. And to then do something other than the framework of what society expects or what we have been then indoctrinated by either at home or church or school, then literally sets us up in a panic of like, oh, am I good enough? Are they going to reject me? Am I this, that, or whatever? And this is how we maintain these systems. That's why we can then look at the patterns and call it a thing. whole determinant of health. So then I started realizing, like, oh my gosh, when I really sit down with me, the true, like, who I am, and I'm listening to myself from the mother midwife perspective, no different than how I serve other clients, then I realized where I wasn't nurturing myself, where I was shushing myself, where I was literally doing what the medical industrial complex does to other birthing people. And we have to do that to ourselves. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe that's the first place to start, because I can't change the world or make everything else that's happening in the systems that literally have targeted impacts on me, but I can change me and what I agree to allow my energy to be impacted by. And through that, we then can get more powerful, stronger, more whole, because we're well. And with that, be able to extend that, vibration or that ability or those lessons to other people to be able to do that too. When literally one woman heals, the whole community heals. I realized that after a couple years of practice, when I had a client say to me, like, oh my gosh, my whole family and I, we literally live and eat differently because of you. And at first I didn't get it. I was like, really? Like, me? Why? Well, because I want you to understand how to achieve your goal. You're coming to want the healthiest pregnancy possible. You want to be able to da 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 da. Okay, great. Well, I went to school and have this information for you, and I can tangibly lay it out for you so that you can execute it and thereby have the pathway to your goal. And didn't realize that that was something that was really powerful and impactful, because once you know and understand something, then you can now do it informed or on command. And so now I'm like, okay, well, great. Now I want to take this a step further. Now I'm realizing it's not just about, pregnancy anymore, even though that is the absolute start. That's the inception point. That's absolutely powerful, because if humanity is to exist, then people are going to keep having babies. And part of me stepping into my superpower is, breaking down and relating the information so that people can be their best selves. And through that, they are now generationally implanting that into their children, not just through knowledge and practice, but also through genetics, because they're eating different, living different, and all of that. And then the next step is, let's take it a step further. So many of us are so much more than what we've been told.
Yes.
Like, my parents came from Haiti. My dad literally got here on a boat. So like the idea and impression and even the direct communication is, you literally need to work hard, go to school, have one of these potential jobs that make you like good money and has good status. That's what is valued. And sometimes in our family systems, these rules that we operate on, these value systems, are literally still rooted in slavery, because we live in a post-slavery industrial complex by people having to like be in this capitalism rat race. And so now it's not just a color thing, it's literally this whole huge cog. And part of it and how we can transform the world for all of us, meaning, is this really the world we want our children to live in, right? Is this really what we want our grandchildren to live in? Is this the legacy we want generations of humans to, when they reflect back on us, what do we want them to say, right? So I started realizing how we do the smallest of things is how we do all things. And if we then truly then can continue to not abandon ourselves, stick with an alignment with who we are and who we're meant to be, then as a human cell in a planetary body, Now that cell is delivering the nutrients and oxygen and all the things where it's supposed to, because it is operating in accordance to what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Then everything else continues to get better and better and better. And so, my Angelou, just one of my all-time, just to me, she's a guiding light. And one of the things she said was, when you teach. Meaning, I understand that I'm always learning, and the more I learn, the more I'm like, hold up, they taught us that. The more I keep realizing that we don't fully have the whole picture, and there's more to learn, which is only a good thing. That's what it is to be called. That's what it is to live. That's called life. The school of life. You're just gonna keep learning and growing and expanding. But in that, truly now, stepping into like the whole embodiment of what I'm here to do is, I am literally strong of mind, body, and spirit for a reason, because, I felt that when I would be with myself in those self-care moments, I can hear the essence of what my ancestors wanted for me, which is to finally be well and to thrive. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, the things that they had to do to survive, they did to survive, and we're still doing them today, which is now hurting us.
Absolutely.
So we got to let that go so we can finally thrive and be the beings we were meant here to be, which, I'm here to like be a mom and also mother a new way. And by mothering a new way, I literally am nurturing myself differently and nurturing other people differently. How I woman out in the world and how I use my femininity is now different than what we've been modeled and taught, because that is what will then bring us back into balance. And the word midwife, midwives are wise women. Wise women literally are the pillars of health and wellness and maintaining generational information and identity, or just stories of where we came from. And we see what the huge impact is by cutting that out. And so by bringing that back, we are literally becoming empowered, not just in the one-to-one births, but now empowered in our sovereignty and knowing that we can have these experiences, and now these are the experiences we want, not the ones that we were told that we should have. And then to take all of that and then be like, you know what? I literally was taught that joy, laughter, things that brought you pleasure was bad.
Yes.
But actually, those are the very things that are absolutely powerful, because it comes from a passion. Like, when everybody has a passion because it aligns with like part of who they are, their purpose, their frequency. When you can do that or be in that is unlimited energy that you can continue to harness and utilize. And so now it's like, oh wow, I can be all of me, which is so much more than what people said that a woman should be.
Yes.
And that's okay. And that right there literally is the heart of the self, love, the healing and wellness journey, is to literally allow yourself to, in every aspect, heal and be the whole you that is you, which includes aspects of yourself that the world actively wants you to not do and be.
Yes. To be able to sit in that and be like, you're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to take care of yourself. You're allowed to laugh. You're allowed to just enjoy your own space, and it'd be okay. And to learn that. And I think, thank you. Like, I'm so glad you've said that, because I feel like so many times we're so hard on ourselves. We're like, it's just a journey. It's okay to have the journey. And it's supposed to be hard. You're supposed to cry sometimes. But then how many times do we not cry? How many times do we not feel? And just to be able to sit and feeling your feelings and to be okay. And to also know how to move, not to move through them, not to jump over them. Even
Yeah.
nourishing your bodies, like, a lot of things that like we like to eat. A lot of people eat comfort foods. Why? Because it makes that endorphins of serotonin of, I feel good. But then to change that around, it's like, okay, well, if food makes me feel good, let me make the things that give me wellness, but also make me feel that same good. That
Yes.
same like,
Yes.
feeling.
And our bodies, our mind, body, and spirit, there is nothing wrong with us. That is step number one. That is step number one. We have to literally breathe down into every single cell of our being is know that there is nothing wrong with us. We are perfect as we are. And because of that, we reclaim, this energy we suppress. We allow ourselves to, be soft and all these other things so that we can be our healthy, full, vibrant selves. And that's what we want for, our children. That's like telling your newborn baby, I'm going to put you on a diet so we make sure you don't like what? That is not love. That is not, if anything, that's harm. That's some type of, undercover hatred. And so like the journey of that, the more you keep going, the deeper you keep going. And anybody who's out there wondering, should they even start or feeling like they want to give up because it's so hard as they're going, yes, that is true. But what is also true is the strength and power and who you get to be on the other side of that is beyond worth it. It's beyond worth it. No different than, having a baby can be a really intense experience, but the moment it's over, it's like you don't have to then, like, you already know what it's worth as you're through it. So, lesson number one is you are incredible and love you. There's nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with you wanting what you want, loving what you love, and being who you want to be. And the world needs that exactly. That's exactly what the world needs. And by doing that, when we literally embody our whole self authentically, that is the greatest, I guess you can say, lesson or impact other people can see. Because when we see those examples, we go, I didn't know you could do that.
Yes.
I didn't know that was an option for me. I didn't know that you could. And so realizing that, literally letting myself be me, which there is no one like me and there never will be, and there was never meant to be.
Right.
That's just, it's profound when, because, other people see that, now they have permission. Just like what we had talked about in the very beginning of the show about what it was like to be able to be in each other's space in birth, is there is an allowance of the totality of yourself to be there, to show up there and feel safe doing it. And so, us doing that for ourselves, which I realize it's got to start with me, because at the very least, I want to raise a healthy, secure, boy into a healthy, secure man who literally then can help be the change that we want to see in the world in men, which then also means there has to be a change within myself as a woman to make sure that you don't create the impacts of, you know what I'm saying? So, and
absolutely,
that's generational healing right there.
Absolutely.
And into the learning and unlearning and just so many things. And so, like, it takes a lot of courage to really allow yourself to step into the black, the void. It's like going into outer space and then discovering what planets and stars are out there. It's largely black. Everything's really far, but there's a lot of stuff out there.
And it's beautiful. Like, at the end of the day, it's very beautiful when you do that work and you step into it. And I love what you said, that you're doing the changes so your son will be better. You're changing the genetics and the understanding of it. And I do the same, for my daughters. It's like we're changing the directive of their genetics of like, you don't have to be just like me. You can be the change. You can embody the change. So this is the only way to be.
And the only way they learn that is by us being that. And that's what it is to be a mother, is to be the originator of the knowing of being.
Yes.
Literally how children learn, like how to be comfortable in their environment. That's how, like, all the way from breastfeeding and the hormones and neurotransmitters that go into them, to the behaviors of how we ask for things, how we move out in the world. Our mothers are the first and strongest influencers of that. And even before we even have awareness or a mind to be aware of that, those impacts are already happening within the womb. So truly, 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 the healing and the transformation of women and birthing people on this planet will literally transform just our descendants and the world that they get to live.
Oh, Audrey, I am so glad. See, this is why I called you today, that you came in and you gave us this knowledge. And again, our hour is up, but you're always welcome to come back and to bring forth more of your greatness. And I just thank you. Thank you for the wellness that you've put out. Thank you for the enlightenment you've put down. I've learned a lot today, and I'm just making notes like, I'm going to go do that. This is awesome. And I hope for our guests that they feel the same way. It's like, take the information you've gotten today and understand that you, if nothing else of today, I want everyone to take away is like, you deserve wellness. The true definition of what wellness is, you deserve it. You deserve it today and every day, every minute, every hour. You deserve wellness. So today, Audrey, thank you so much for bestowing your knowledge and your light with us and your wellness.
Yes. And I just want to leave everybody with just one question to chew on. Each time I get to hold a baby and I'm looking at them, I always wonder, who will you be? Who did you come here to be? So I want to ask all of you, are you who you came here to be? And if not, your self-love journey will definitely get you there.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. I hope everyone sits with that and remember, who are you meant to be? And you're allowed to be that person. To my guest, as always, I thank you. And to my audience, know that you are loved. You deserve the best. You are cherished and you are honored. Until next time, you guys, take care.